The following is a presentation of the Healthcare Facilities Network. Hello, and welcome to the Healthcare Facilities Network. I am your host, Peter Martin, Vice President of Business Development for CREF. CREF has office locations in Boston, Massachusetts, Dallas, Texas, and Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as well as a satellite office in the state that my guest is located today, in Utah. To learn more about CREF, please go to cref.com. I want to welcome in my guest, David Emery. David, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Peter.
So David is facility manager for Intermountain Health. David is located in Provo, Utah. David, I've known David for a couple of years now, and so we're recording this, what is it, August 26th?
Yep.
Yeah, hard to believe, right? Labor Day, a week from today. You got the day off?
Yes, I'm Mr. Mom. I'm gonna be Mr. Mom for the weekend.
For the whole weekend?
Yeah.
Nice. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, playing Mr.
Yeah,
Mom.
and then Tuesday, Wednesday, my wife's she's going on a sister vacation, so I'm helping her out there.
Nice. You have any plans yet?
No.
You got a lot. It's a long time. I remember those days, man. Fun. It goes fast. But anyways, Mr. Mom is joining us. He's wide awake this morning. Maybe he won't be next week at this time. But so David and excuse me, as I said, it's August 26th. David and myself, we were talking last month at the ASHE Innovation Conference. I was going to say the ASHE Annual, but we were talking at the ASHE Innovation Conference out in Anaheim, and David was telling me, we were talking about staffing because that's what everybody talks about, right? In healthcare facilities, staffing, retirements, baby boomers leaving. Everybody knows the drill. It's pretty common at this point. But David was talking about some different ways that he is staffing his facility department. And I think as we go forward, right, David, as we were talking, I mean, kind of new ideas, new thoughts to try to help stem or try to keep your people and try to attract more people into the industry. So that's what David and I will be talking about today. But before we jump into that, David, can you give us a little bit of a sense for, the size of your facility, number of employees? I know your title is manager, but your responsibility is director level. So you can't really get confused by titles these days. You always have to ask people because roles, responsibilities, organizations will sometimes make directors managers and managers supervisors. So tell us, David, though, director level responsibility. Tell us a bit, size of your facility, what you do, number of employees, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. I'm at Utah Valley Hospital with the Intermountain Health system. I have 395 beds, 1.4 million square feet. We have a mixture of everything, from office space to healthcare space to clinic space to ASCs. We do it all here in Provo, and we're kind of like a hotbed. Like Provo is surrounded by two major universities. You have Brigham Young University right up the street from me, and another school that has 35,000 plus is Utah Valley University. So we're kind of unique that we're in a spot where learning and innovation is taking place and attracting the talent to stay here. And we're seeing price increases all across the country. So that's a big thing for my staff that the chatter is always about. So
yeah. So your staff talks, you hear them speaking about cost of living and things like that, correct? That's what I just heard.
yeah.
Huh? Interesting.
Yeah.
How does that come up? How did that come up?
It comes up where they can get allured to jobs. So in the construction industry, they can offer 15 to 30% more pay in terms of jobs because the talent is such a premium out here. I'm sure it's everywhere else in the United States, but just trying to attract that talent to build, because we have these major superintendent general contractor companies that are after, and they're trying to get money to build these big jobs. We're soon soon, last week it was awarded in the CHIPS program in Arizona and Utah for Texas Instruments that they're going to attract a big crowd to build a new branch or new building off of Texas Instruments here in Utah. So the competition for talent is a premium, and it's always the chatter that, the grass could be greener on the other side.
Right. Keyword good. I didn't realize Utah Valley State has 35,000 students.
Yep. Not all there. It's like a big commuter school, so it's not all there. So yeah.
Still that's a lot of students. And how big's BYU? How big is Brigham Young?
I think it's 33,000 undergrad.
Wow.
So
So you got 68,000 students plus just where you are.
yeah.
Wow, I never would have guessed that. So you said 395 beds, 1.4 million square feet. So you must span pretty far and wide with that square footage.
It's about 45 acres that I'm sitting on. So with that square footage, luckily everything's connected to a bridge mostly, but sometimes you got to get exposed to the elements. But we try to consolidate a lot of our services all within this footprint because we are the biggest hospital in Utah County, and our county is about 700,000 people and growing. They project in 20 years it'd be about 1 million people.
Wow.
So, and the next biggest hospital is only like 96 beds, or roughly. So we're a major feeder for, yeah, our hospital is unique. We're a major feeder for a lot of um, rural areas to help provide the best care possible. So
That's really a unique environment, huh? I mean, you're in Provo is a large place. It's not like you're out. I mean, you're not a critical access hospital. So you got 396, and then next closest is 96. That's what type of a stress does that put on the systems and the hospitals, especially as you're growing?
for us, we try to handle everything in our space. Now there's a continuity care that we want to continue on at the other facilities if we come, but we're like the stopgap for a lot of people. So then if they have a continuity care, they can get to the hospital where they got treated before. But we act as a trauma one, but we're a trauma two facility. And I think in the future, I think our CEO wants to get to a trauma one, but we act as we're just the next trauma one facility is about 50 miles away, and
Oh, wow.
then to the north, and then to the south is about 200 miles to the south. So all between is critical access hospitals in the rural areas where my peer takes care of the rural areas, and so it's a unique development or a
Yeah.
unique dynamic, I should say.
So within Intermountain Health, are a lot of your your surrounding facilities, you just mentioned critical access hospitals. How many critical access hospitals are part of the system?
About four.
Four,
So
okay. And you guys are the flagship?
no,
No.
that's in Murray, Salt Lake City. So that the flagship is up there, but we have multiple hospitals in Utah County, and they're growing as well. But we're just kind of like the hub. With they need space for beds, we're the place. So
It's a good tagline. Hospitals would never do that. You need space for beds, we're the place. It's too transactional for healthcare, but I
yeah,
kind of like it.
and it's unique because I used to work in Washington D.C. and major metropolitan areas, and you would see giant systems like Inova, GW, Georgetown, these big bed places, and you have like 2 to 3 million people in this conglomerate. But
Yeah.
Intermountain has adopted the phrase, like trying to be more preventative care. So we're trying to get more preventive so people don't end up in our facilities. And so that's why we don't have all these that's why it's always surprising to me. We have the major hospitals, me at 395 beds with 700,000 people, that we're trying to take a more preventative care approach to the community. So
Nice. So I didn't ask you, how many facility employees do you have in your department?
Craft provides strategic real estate solutions that enable organizations to get the most out of their physical infrastructure. At Craft, the difference is we're not just advisors, we're operators. Our expertise in strategic asset advisory, project management, regulatory preparedness, and finding operational efficiencies allows us to provide organizations with end-to-end visibility and insight into their real estate portfolios and physical assets. Please visit us at www.cref.com.
I have 28.
You have
And
28 for 1.4 million square feet.
yeah, we've adopted the philosophy, and it goes along with mine, of try to get as much as you can in-house because, for instance, I have a guy who does flooring and
Yep.
he's spread across eight different hospitals that help with flooring repairs, because sometimes our flooring contractors take 2 weeks to do a turnaround. And so we've have the skill set of like around the 28 guys that we cover a lot of the maintenance work that we can do inside of our shop.
That's admirable. That's a lot of footage. That's a lot of square footage. So your flooring guy, does he have, I imagine he's kept busy with flooring across 8 places. Is that,
Yeah.
that's all he does? I don't
Yeah,
mean
so
that's
my-
all he does.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's kept busy, but my peers line up the project, so it makes it worth it. So when he travels the hour and a half to the rural areas, all the projects are lined up for him, and they pay out of their, cost center, or however you want to look, business unit, and they take care of the repairs there. So it's, we spread the love, and he has a fleet car he can use, doesn't have to use his own vehicle. So it's all arranged, and sometimes we put him up in a hotel in the rural areas if he's got multiple projects that's going to keep him there multiple days. So we try to use that adaptability so it keeps the cost down, because it's surprising, you would think it's different, but when you're going to rural areas, it doubles the price, or you're trying to get contractors out there, just because they're coming from the major areas to the rural areas, and if they have to go back and forth, it's just a bigger charge, bigger cost.
Man, that's just another challenge that those critical access hospitals have, huh? That's tough. I was gonna ask, so do and you mentioned you try to do as much in-house as you can. Does that extend to, mechanical contractors, plumbers, the HVAC, the MEP trades? Do you have that skill set within house, or do you have to go out to subs?
I do have the MEP in-house, so I have 2 plumbers that have the title, but 4 have the journeyman master plumber title. I got 3 electricians, and I got 5 HVAC, and then regular 3 grounds positions that take care of the 45 acres, and the rest are my maintenance mechanics. They have their specialty where they did their side works like they were painters in a former life, but they can still draw upon that when needed. And everybody has their little special trade. I think everybody has a little special thing in them that sometimes you just got to bring it out of them, and it's kind of fun seeing it, their eyes light up because they think of their past life. So
How do you bring it out of them?
just when projects come up and I ask them, how do you want to accomplish that? And you let them, I look at as the leader is, I'm here to present you something. How do you want to accomplish it? And my guys jump to, this is how we would want to approach it and tackle the task. I think the manager just sets the atmosphere and sets the tone for the team to help them be the best and be successful and get rid of any of the roadblocks that come in the way. I don't think the front line, if they get roadblock free, I think they flourish really well.
Yeah, roadblock free. I like that. So that's an impressive little staff that you've built there, able to do so much. Was it always that? So you've been there, what, about coming up on 5 years now, 4.5 years?
We're at 4.5 years now and going to the 5 mark. Yeah, I got here 2 weeks before the pandemic, so was declared, I should say. So yeah, I've had a big turnover just because of retirements.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
What's kind of like, what have you, like, did you build that? How did you go about creating the staff, if you don't mind? How'd you do that?
I think I would say I've added on, but I've put a different flavor into the thing. So it used to be the name of the department. It was hard to get in and no one retired, no one left. But that only lasts so long. People retire and they want to enjoy what they've had.
Yep.
And I applaud them for it. And that's what's led to this talk of, there's like, they talk about the cost of living because 2 years ago, 3 years ago, inflation was really high and fuel costs were high. A lot of my workers live least, I would say 80% of my workers live about an hour outside of the hospital.
Oh, wow.
And so, they get other opportunities or other other electrical companies, HVAC companies, they try to lure them to say, hey, we'll give you your own vehicle, we'll give you this, or different flexibilities. And so, I adopted the approach. When I first got here, I saw 3 people on call. You had one for each trade. So you called the trade. And I said, well, let's go to one. And, and then I adopted everybody goes on call. So everybody gets a turn to go on call for the week. So it was more of a shared, you get you should hear the grumbles. You're changing up things. But then when you frame it in the way that it's a shared responsibility, but you can trade off. You don't have to be obligated to have it. Some people who want on call because they want the money. And so you want to allow that autonomy back and forth with the team that they can make it work for the hospital. And so to me, it's not the leader's responsibility is just to put the frame of mind. Here's the frame of work of how we should try to accomplish it, but I'll let you guys try to achieve it. And so they do an excellent job of having that shared responsibility within each other.
2 questions about that. One relative to OT. What have you found? Are there certain people who take that OT all the time and folks kind of don't funnel through as much as expectation, and not that there's anything wrong with that. And then number 2, how often or do you have to ever jump in to kind of be the arbiter, the peacemaker? It's kind of gone off the rails and hey guys, let's get us back on trail. So to those 2 questions.
For the OT, hospitals emphasize minimal OT, which we do. But, when we try to minimize our on-call, and it's an ongoing, I think continuous improvement is a big theme for Intermountain Health. We always continue to improve. How can we minimize our costs, maximize our gains, and how can we improve process? So I think we put a calendar I set up a whole year calendar worth of on-call starting like in October. So then they can start marking their calendars when they can do their vacations. They can start planning their lives. If I plan for them, they plan for me. So they can plan, I can take my vacations here. Like everybody, they wait until like October comes around and they know I'm going to post the on-call for next year. So they start marking their calendars when they have on-call, but then they start marking when they can start taking time off with their family. And then they start doing the trade, which is fine. The only rule is when they start trading, I have a master list. They have to put it up on they have to mark it off on the master list. So I am aware what's expected. So then I know what I can expect from them.
Yeah. And great. And jump in. Do you ever need to arbitrate or be the arbiter?
No, I don't.
Do you find has like did they all participate? Did one person kind of, you know what I guess I'm into like the dynamic part of it. Is there one person who's kind of like the alpha, or does everybody participate, respectful and work together?
Everybody participates and respectful. And, I do have, you're always going to have the alpha personalities, but if everybody knows what the framework it is, there's one guy who likes to take all the on-call. So he trades with everybody and that's one less on-call they have to do. So they're not changing dates. He just takes it. So, I'm good with it. I'm good. If he's good with it, I'm good with it. And if the team's good with it, that's one less on call for them. But it brings an atmosphere of just ownership and responsibility, because how I frame it is, even if you work outside here, except construction, you're going to take an on call. So do you want an on call where you're on call every 25 weeks, or do you want an on call for every 5 weeks? And that's, I just give them lay down the chips, and I'm always transparent. I don't try to lead them astray. And we always have that open dialogue where I don't try to come off, here's the end all be all. It's here's what I'm thinking, and let it be flexible. And what do you think about contributing? Here's the principle we're trying to do. And the principle is we need to cover for the hospital because we're a 24/7 environment. We're not going to get around it. But how can we adjust to have your family needs? And so the guys chip in when something's unexpected. My supervisors chip in to help with the on-call, like help be that flexible. So it's a great team environment where they know things come up and life happens, and we try to adapt for it.
So with 28 guys in the department, averages out to what, 2 weeks per year roughly for them, if everybody kind of took it. It's
Yeah.
not, yeah, and you're scheduling out a year. How would you, and you talked a little bit about it, but how would you describe your team dynamic?
My team dynamic is all about communication.
Hmm.
That I have my morning meetings with my supervisors that we talk about what do we have laid out for our team for the day. Yes, you're going to have your unexpected 911s, but I've tried to minimize that. But I think my team dynamic in my experience everywhere I've gone. So maintenance guys take pride in their work. They take pride in the repairs. They take pride in the installations. They take pride if it's their equipment or and I'm starting to adapt. If it's the team's equipment, we all take care of it together. So, you have your ownership, you have the assets that are assigned to those each caregivers, but we take ownership that it's not just your building, it's everybody's building. This is how we take care of. So we all know the dynamic, and that leads into, I know, there's the flip side of the coin. When we're so passionate about our work, we take that home with us. And so, because we worry about if we get a call, we worry about something might break down. So that's why I want the team dynamic is just everybody owns the equipment and helps each other. Like if they get called in, they let that person know, hey, I worked on this. This is what was going on. And so that person goes check on it to make sure it's fixed, or they make sure maybe they got to order a part that helps. It was just a temporary solution. So and also that work-life balance is always a topic of discussion in my, not much anymore, but when I first got here, still like the work-life balance is, you can give them all the resources to have work-life balance, but if they can't leave work at work, you gotta work with them on that level instead of giving them the opportunities, because you can give them all this stuff to have work-life balance, but doesn't mean they are able to take advantage of it, because psychological is a whole nother animal.
So didn't really expect to go down the psychological road, did you? So did you find that you had to help them try to like leave work at work, and that you describe like a situation or a team dynamic, I think that most people would want to have, right? I mean, you have guys who are, having a hard time, like they're taking the work home with them. Sometimes people have a hard time getting their people just to show up, never mind take it home. But did you find that people were taking work home, and how do you help them try to create that balance? What do you do?
There's two dynamics that I've seen to help them, and it's helped to have check-ins with your guys, one-on-one. You don't want to. Some guys are not going to share it with everybody. One dynamic is a lot of my guys come from a construction background, so unfortunately, it's like sometimes a dog-eat-dog world. So if you share somebody what you're doing, they feel like your job's going to be taken, and so that was a hard thing to unravel. Like your job's not going to be taken. When this person knows what you know, now you can enjoy a vacation. It was about 2 years in the process, but I asked one of my leads to, like, he embraced it, and then he said to me, I can enjoy my vacation. The other thing I've done is, in the dynamic is, I put two teams together, so there's always a trade on each team where they have a rotating 10 schedule where one team works Monday through Thursday, the other works Tuesday through Friday. And so they switch. And so every other week they have a 4-day weekend. And so I always remind them, do you like your 4-day weekend? They say, we get more done in our 4-day work weekend than we did on our regular weekends, just because they have the time to do it and they can do what they want to do, either pick up a side job or enjoy something they can do while their kids are at school, so they have time for themselves. So it's a great dynamic for my team that I always remind them, like, I'm not saying it like, hey, I gave you that 4-day weekend, Are you using it? It's more like reminding them, I have a great perk and I want to continue to keep using it as it's a great perk to have to work in this department as. So it's not something I rub in their noses, but it's something that they have that they know they can use. Because
Yeah,
I've seen sometimes, not just here, but anywhere I've gone, if things become common, it's just like, oh, what's more? What else more can you give me? It's like, no,
yeah.
the more is because we have these flexibilities. The more is because we have this in place, and to remind them, use what you have, and then they embrace that.
So let's talk about your flexible scheduling, because that's one of the things that we were talking about. We were at the annual, but before I ask you about that, just a couple of things. Number one, you mentioned you have, I think, 3 grounds people. So do your folks cut the lawn, snow plowing when it snows? You don't have that. You guys take care of all that for 1.4
Yeah.
million square feet and 45 acres?
Yes. So the 3 guys they're the first response on snow, and then my team chips in to help out with the rest of the guys in the shop help out with the snow removal. So they all have their zones that they all chip in. They get their sidewalks clear, the pathways cleared so the staff can come in. So we all chip in on the snow removal. And then three grounds caregivers take care of the 45 acres.
Wow. And 28 staff, are you guys fully staffed? Meaning it is 28. Are you searching for help, or what's the staffing situation like?
We'll be fully staffed September 8th. So we had some grounds guys that retire and so or got promoted within the shop. So we're gonna fill in those gaps September 8th. So
Okay. So will the number rise from 28, or does it stay at 28?
stay at 28.
Okay. This concludes episode 1. Please return to the Healthcare Facilities Network in the near future to view episode 2.